Hey, what's up, Bali people and people of the world? We're here again on Exposed with Celia at Baliradio.net. And our topic today is very special. It's kind of in regards of all the Bali trouble water that we've been discussing in the past shows. Today's edition is Art for Ocean, and I have a very special guest here with me today. Her name is Celia Greggory, and she is the CEO of the Marine Foundation. She's done extensive work here in Bali, and how about we say hi to Celia and try to get to know her more.
Hello, nice to be here.
Nice to have you here. So Celia, tell me about your background before. What were you doing before you were here in Bali with the Marine Foundation? And
Yes, my background's in art, so I've been a practicing artist for over 20 years. So my main medium that I used to work in was mosaic, and I did a lot of work in England. I worked for architects, I did big projects for landscape designers, interior designers, I wrote a book, we used to do stuff for the TV. So I have got a background of not so much kind of art in the studio, but very much kind of commissioning art, working on big projects, so realising art in the kind of more practical arena. So I'm very well rehearsed in dealing with people and big teams and making things happen.
Really? So art? That's very surprising. Art, and then the marine. What makes you go for the Marine Foundation?
And so I come from an art background, but I mean, I think there's quite a lot of parallels actually between artists and scientists, and I was very strong in science at school, so I always had a kind of great awareness and understanding for science, and my passion in life is nature. I mean, I absolutely adore the natural world, and it's the source of inspiration for my artwork. And so there was even in my artwork there was a strong interest in the natural world, a love for it, and just really believe that everybody's on this planet creating, actually. Absolutely. Whether you're an artist or an animal, I think we're just here creating. So
what attracts you from to go for the Marine Foundation and to work with the ocean in particular?
Well, I mean, I adored the ocean, and actually there was a time in my life where I wasn't very happy. You know, when I was younger I had some quite major issues, and actually at the time it was dolphins that kind of fun, and I think they did with lots of people. They just were an animal that just inspired me, so they inspired me to be happy again, you know.
The dolphins?
Yeah, the dolphins, yeah. And at the time I was also doing a course on communication studies, and I chose to do an environmental topic. This was before I really got into my art career, and the topic I chose was about the dolphin slaughters in Japan. And so this was the topic that I chose. And then, you know, that kind of went by the wayside, and then I got involved in my career, and then but always during my art career I was kind of had this feeling about my love of the environment, and that it was just being destroyed. And it was something that was really within me.
It just kind of moved you.
Yeah, and it was just within me, and then I just started to think, you know, gosh, you know, this issue with the dolphins as being a particular key example was something that even 15 years later, when I went back to it, it was still happening. So I was thinking, whatever this campaign was doing, it's not working. So this was kind of maybe the first thing that I started to think about. And then I did my diving course. I became a diver. And so all this time I was kind of thinking, gosh, you know, how can we approach environmental issues from a different perspective? You know, meanwhile I was getting into my diving career. I was starting to spend a lot more time in the ocean. And I think so that what was happening at that point is that the ocean issues were becoming very relevant to me, and I was becoming very close to what was kind of going on there. And then as a diver, you come across something called artificial reef technology, or artificial reefs. So you go to diving a lot on wrecks, shipwrecks, and there's some of the biggest dive sites around the world, like thousands of people go to these sites every month. So around that is quite a strong economy, and I started to think, well, if a man-made object's going under the water to help marine life, why can't this object be
the next shipwreck, a visitor, or a tourist area?
Yeah, but I was thinking, well, why can't it now be art? Why does it have to be a shipwreck, or why does it have to be something that's just a thing? Why can't we actually start to kind of explore this relationship of art?
Something.
Yeah, exactly. And it was kind of brewed from there, and then I also was this feeling that that then art could convey a message in a very positive way, that we'd then have this very inspiring visual that was actually doing good. Actually, it was using science to rehabilitate habitat.
Oh.
But yet, actually, it was amazingly inspiring. And so this is basically how the kind of seed of the idea.
So Celia, you've been here for about 11 years. Obviously, you know a lot about the marine condition, the ocean's health or lack thereof.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what's your view of Bali's current condition right now? From what you, I mean, there's a lot of different water bodies in Bali. From the ones that you've seen, what do you think the current condition is?
I think it's probably. I mean, some areas have got better because some of the projects that I've worked with have improved in health. So we've worked in Pemutaran in northwest Bali, and their reef has through.
I've seen it.
Through the artificial reef program and through marine management has got better, and in a way awareness has increased. So that's positive.
So this is the one in Pemutaran, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
And but I mean, I think oceans all over the world are presently in decline.
In distress.
And decline, yeah, in decline in health. I mean, it's one of those things that, because it's not on land, we don't really see what we're doing, and I think we just have assumed that the ocean is this kind of unending resource that we can just take from and dump in. And I think we just don't really realise that we're kind of at a critical point now with it. So, and it's just so many issues face the ocean, just in terms of overfishing, bad fishing techniques like dynamite fishing or cyanide fishing, which I just spoke to somebody today about how there's an aquarium in Canggu where they openly acknowledge the fact that they use cyanide to get their aquarium fish. You know, dynamite fishing is still happening in Indonesia. I mean, Indonesia's got very, very rich water, and there's still a lot to protect. You know, it's still, relatively speaking, it's relatively healthy in comparison to something like the Mediterranean, Europe, which is like a dead body of water. Once upon a time, that body of water was thriving. So in a way, Indonesia's in a very good position to, if they can turn it around now, you've got a lot to preserve.
Yeah. So Celia, let's talk about some of the programs and approach that you've done to restore the Bali's oceans and the water bodies here.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously we've just kind of touched on the fact that the problem is fairly big.
Yes.
And so, you know, to kind of counter that, I kind of try to focus in a Pacific area. So the Pacific area that I focus on is I work with coral reef habitat or marine ecosystems that have already been damaged. So we don't work in areas where the reef is still pristine, we work in areas where the reef has already been damaged. And also in areas where there's people, so it kind of can't just be left to kind of go back to nature, as lots of people like to say, and that there's potential ecotourism. So then what we can do is that then we work with other NGOs and communities to then ensure that destructive fishing techniques have been stopped, so they're no longer bombing in the area and they're no longer doing cyanide, you know, and that we start to help them, or my partners more start to help them establish like marine management strategy is what it's called. So they're no longer now just destroying it, they're now looking at a more longer term relationship to this body of water, fairly localised, they're fairly small localised areas, and starting to rebuild it and turn it into like a garden.
So what do you think, you know, from these successful projects, they're great, they're thriving, what do you think still need to be done? Would you just continue with this Art for Ocean in different locations?
Yeah, I mean, we've got we're taking it to other locations because obviously the more coral gardens that we can create, the better, because they're the little sanctuaries where if we just create even localized areas where the fish aren't being fished and the corals looked after.
Oh, so those area where you put statue, they don't fish there?
No, I mean the whole idea is that we set them within a marine management strategy. So those small areas, they don't. If we can, I mean, then there's no fishing going on. You know, so these little areas can build fish stocks. They're called no-take zones, and then these areas, the fish grow and the corals grow, and then, you know, then they can start to populate the areas around it. So.
Oh wow, that's actually taking it to a whole other level.
Yeah, I mean the Bali is on a kind of higher up level. I think it's Conservation International are implementing a whole series of marine parks, and it's called zonation in Bali, and then this is going to spread out through Indonesia.
What will help your the Marines Foundation's projects right now?
Well, I mean, I think we're obviously looking for sponsors, and that's part of what we're trying to do. Is we're trying to it's called a blue economy, which is this idea that we're trying to for conservation and this to not be reliant on charity. So we're trying to build a bit more of an economic model that is sustainable. So this is why with the communities they can earn money through tourism, but we need to earn money, and we're trying to do it through basically business sponsorship, as well. So companies can kind of get involved, sponsor the artworks, and invest in this community, invest in this this marine reserve, basically. So that's one of the key things.
So, for example, the Bunny Shop sponsored the mermaid.
Exactly. Yeah. So they sponsored the mermaid, which is this beautiful sculpture in Ahmed.
Yes, it is so beautiful. It's been in the face of so many magazines
and she's only going to improve. We've planted coral now, and she's going to, over the next, we'll keep photographing her. So this is why it's an amazing opportunity, because they'll keep shifting, we'll keep getting new press, it'll keep having...
Yeah, it's not just something that you put that and then you're done.
Yeah.
You see the progress, it's going to look, I mean, if you dive there today, it's going to look different tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what's so amazing about it, and I mean, this deserves an award, which...
And then what's also really lovely about it is that, when we sunk the mermaid, it was made by Wyan Wintan, who's a famous Balinese sculptor. He did the big Beamer statue on the roundabout near, the Sonora roundabout. He made that statue, so he's made the mermaid. And then we got the local fishermen to help sink it. But what I think is so beautiful is then we took film footage and photography. So the fishermen, who never probably go underwater, funnily enough, actually, can then see this thing that they put under. They can then see the film of it, and then over time they'll watch it grow. So it's an educational process as well.
So what about the next project? Do you have any upcoming campaigns, and also are there NGOs that you work with that's?
Yeah, I mean, we always work with local NGOs. So I mean, in Ahmed, the program that's kind of very much ongoing at the moment. We're working with Reef Check Indonesia. So they are a brilliant organisation who basically help communities set up marine management. So they're like our kind of, they're an Indonesian organisation that work with the community. So then we partner with them, so it's a kind of, everybody's helping each other. And then in Pemutan we work with Karang Lestari, who are the local NGO there. In Gillies we work with the Gili Eco Trust, so we always work with a local environmental partner, so that we don't manage it, it's the community that manages and the local environmental partner. Well, there's 3 main locations.
Okay.
And then there's quite a few sculptures in all these different places. So yeah, we've got Pemutan in northwest Bali. We do a lot of work in the Gillies off Lombok. And we've got another one in Lombok on the mainland in Shiri Beach with the Hotel Tugu, and then Ahmed is our new project, East Bali.
It's a beautiful mermaid.
Yes, and more to come. That's what our next big project is
Where?
Well, we're going to add to the project in Ahmed, so the one in Gemlet Bay where the mermaid is. We're presently looking for artists. So if you're an artist and you're interested to possibly make some environmental underwater art, please get in touch. Well, yeah, the website is themarinefoundation.org, and so we're going to be posting up all the information on that, and then you can email me at info@themarinefoundation.org. So if you're an artist or a creative and you think that you might be interested, then please get in touch. The next very fixed project is going to be the addition of these new sculptures in Ahmed, which we're going to be making during Art Colony in October, and then we'll be installing them in November.
And that's what we need artists for. Remember, it's for October, so get in touch now. So thank you so much, Celia, for being here.
Thank you.
We had so much fun with you, and it made the Bali's water depressing subject become very, very interesting and very empowering, and it's creative and fun and motivating too. I want to do something.
Good.
Definitely. So thank you so much for listening to the end of the show, and also for you listeners, if you or your organizations are exposed worthy, you're doing something unique, something fun, something original, and you want to be exposed, get connected with me. Send me an email at k@baliradio.net. Thank you so much for listening. From our studio in Kuta, K's out.